Is that not the perfect looking lamb rib? Having something Greek that tastes this good in your mouth, that should be legal. Oh, smut! Let's get into it. Today we're grilling Greek style lamb ribs, hot and fast on the Weber kettle. Now cooking time for this recipe is 30 minutes. Or for those of you who love to use my beer timer, you're looking at a 1 beer cook. Cheers! For a lamb rib video, we're gonna need some lamb ribs. And luckily for me, Mick the Master Butcher out at Gippsland Premium Meats was able to leave his chickens alone long enough to cut me some up. Now we need individual ribs to cook these hot and fast. And if you can only find full racks of ribs, treat them the same way. Rip the membrane off and slice them up into individual ribs. The only prep needed is to get them out of the bag. Cooking ribs as a whole rack is a great way to spend a lazy afternoon. But sometimes I want barbecue now. So hot and fast is the only way to go. It's now time to make our Greek marinade. So grab yourself a plastic or non-reactive container with a lockable lid. And for every 2 kilograms of lamb ribs, you're going to need to add into that container 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of grated lemon rind, 1/4 cup of olive oil, 1/2 cup of fresh oregano, 4 cloves of crushed garlic, 1 teaspoon of salt flakes, and 1/2 teaspoon of coarsely cracked black pepper. Add the lamb ribs, pop the lid on, and shake it up, making sure they all get some action. Once you know all the ribs are covered, put them in the fridge for an hour while we get our barbecue ready. And this will give all those ingredients time to work their magic, and especially that lemon juice, which is going to help tenderize the meat. Today I'm using a 57 centimeter Weber kettle, and I'm going to be pairing it up with a kettle cone because I want to be cooking with indirect temps of around 240 degrees Celsius today. And how I'll do that is by grabbing my chimney starter and placing it in my Weber kettle and 3/4 fill it with briquettes. I'll light up a couple of fire lighters and place the chimney on top of them. Then once all the briquettes are ashed over, I'll place the kettle cone in the middle of the charcoal grate and I'll dump the lit fuel into it. I'll carefully put the grill back in place. I'm now going to add 1 chunk of cherry wood into the kettle cone to give these ribs a nice smoky flavour. I'll pop the lid back on, making sure all the vents are wide open, and I'm going to allow that grill to warm up for 10 minutes. I get a lot of people saying that they are struggling to get high heat out of their kettle cone or vortex. After I chat with them a little bit and work out what they're doing, I find out most people are putting way too much fuel into them and choking them and not allowing enough air to circulate through it. And you need that to happen to get that high heat. Once the grill's had time to warm up, it's time to get the lamb ribs on. Placing them around the outer edges of the grate, as this is where that high intense heat from the kettle cone is being forced. Making sure to leave a gap in between each rib. This will just allow for good airflow. Then place the lid back on and grab a drink. If you didn't know, the Weber lid vent creates a hot spot as the cold oxygen is sucked in through the bowl vents up around our fuel and back out that lid vent. So to ensure an even cook, I recommend turning the lid 1/3 of the way every 10 minutes during the cook. Allowing space between the food that you put on any barbecue, this just allows the heat and the smoke to get right around it and you get a better flavour. Also, it allows that smoke to penetrate every side of your meat. And we all like good penetration. Smut! We are at the 30-minute mark and the ribs are done. How good do they look? Now just get them off the heat and wait a minute or two before shoving them in your face hole. And don't worry about that, it's not smoke, it's the fat off the lamb.